Joining us now to analyze today's headlines is Arun Gupta, sitting in for Christina Mislan. Arun is a journalist and a regular contributor to The Guardian in these times, The Progressive and Truth Out. Hi, Arun.
Hi, Sonali.
President Obama and the Republican Party are cementing their alliance on trade with a vote in the House today to authorize fast track for the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP. Despite strong opposition from the Democratic Party, Obama is eager to push through the TPP, an ultra-secret trade agreement that makes democratic decision-making on practically every arena of life subservient to corporate interests and profits. The House vote is extremely close, however, as progressive activists and organizers intensely lobby their representatives to vote no. Meanwhile, European Union leaders are upset over the TPP too, but only because House Republicans pushed through an amendment to the bill being voted on today that bans Obama from negotiating on climate-related actions or immigration policy. Members of the European Parliament signed a letter today saying, quote, tackling climate change is essential for everybody's prosperity. Arun, how crucial is today's House vote on fast track?
Well, it's very important because if it passes, it pushes it forward through the process in terms of granting Obama this authority. And I think, what we need to understand is that Obama, as president, really only has two jobs. One is commander-in-chief of the U.S. war machine. The second is basically the chief executive of the American-led project of capitalist globalization. So we have a president who's basically done nothing for workers, went to Copenhagen early in his presidency and helped to sabotage climate change accords, then has been one of the leading warmongers in U.S. history, was worse than the Bush presidency in terms of immigration, but he's basically using a huge amount of political capital to push this through, which will really devastate the Democratic base. I think, we need to look at it in this historical context.
And then the Israeli government has decided to not hold itself accountable for the deaths last summer of 4 Palestinian children on a Gaza beach, just days after Israel launched its 51-day war on Gaza in full view of international journalists. The Israeli military launched airstrikes against a group of children playing near the Gaza City harbor. The 4 victims were cousins aged 9 through 11 from the same family of fishermen. The Israel Defense Forces, or IDF, released a statement last night saying that Israeli troops believed they were firing at members of Hamas on July 16, 2014. Calling the incident an error but not a crime, the statement added, quote, the tragic outcome of the incident does not affect the legality of the attack. The United Nations is currently readying its report on last summer's Israeli assault on Gaza that killed more than 2,100 Palestinians, including 500 children. Arun, I can't help but think of how police departments in the U.S. justify the killings of unarmed African Americans when I read this story about Israel's defense of killing Gaza children. It's a tragedy, but not a crime. What do you make of this decision?
Well, we can also think about it in terms of the U.S. war in Iraq, where you had the U.S. may have killed over 1 million Iraqis, but the number of U.S. soldiers who were actually prosecuted for war crimes would probably successfully prosecuted would probably fit into a minivan. Israel is engaged in epic scale crimes against humanity. It's basically involved in a long-term extermination project, genocide against the people who live in Gaza. It's absolutely horrendous, the conditions people are living under. The only reason this particular crime stands out is because it was witnessed by journalists, and they could clearly see there were young boys playing on the beach.
And finally, a bizarre story of racial impersonation is making the rounds of the internet today. The parents of an NAACP leader in Washington state have revealed that their daughter is a white woman impersonating an African American. 37-year-old Rachel Dolezal, who was selected to lead the Spokane chapter of the NAACP in January, claimed to be of Black, white, and Native American heritage. Her parents say she is mostly of German and Czech ancestry with some Native American links. They also released a photo of her as a straight-haired, blonde, white-skinned woman in her youth. Dolezal, whose skin now appears darker and hair is curly, refused to answer a point-blank question by a reporter as to whether she was black. She is reported to have said, quote, "The question is not as easy as it seems. There's a lot of complexities, and I don't know that everyone would understand that. We're all from the African continent." Dolezal has been active on issues of police violence and in May launched the Moral Mondays Northwest campaign for the NAACP. Interestingly, a white woman suffragist named Mary White Ovington co-founded the NAACP, but she never pretended to be black. Well, Arun, I'm not sure what to think of this story, but a lot of African Americans are expressing a lot of anger on Twitter today, and understandably so. What do you think?
I think there's a right to be upset. I don't think there's anything that would bar her from being president of the local chapter just because she is white. And if she has, honest concerns about the issues and is willing to devote her time and energy, there's no reason she couldn't be head of the chapter. I think being dishonest about her racial background, though, it really is, it's frankly offensive.
Well, I want to thank you, as always, Arun, for joining us today. We'll have you on the show for the next couple of weeks. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Arun Gupta, sitting in for Christina Mislan, is a journalist and regular contributor to The Guardian in these times, The Progressive and Truth Out. This is Uprising. We'll be right back after this break.